First question. Jocko, as someone who has been getting after it for a long time and has incurred injuries along the way, I see that you're a fan of mobility WOD. I've been into starret stuff for a while myself. Do you have any perspective on the difference that mobility and form can have on performance, not just on addressing or preventing injuries? Did you encounter any material like this in your younger days as a SEAL, at an age when a lot of younger guys will just slam through things? As someone who is still very active in your 40s, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are versus how your 20s self was.
Well, so the first part of the question about form and technique and mobility affecting performance, absolutely. I mean, technique is king, right, in any sport. And it's funny when you break into a new sport, you realize how important technique is because you think, I can do that. Yeah. And then you try it and you go, oh, there's a lot of technique. Jiu-jitsu is a classic example, but any sport that you play that looks like it's not that hard, you go ahead and try it. You realize how much of every sport is technique. So technique is absolutely important. Mobility is also important. And being able to move well and move smoothly, there's that whole, I don't know if it's a trend going on right now, but this idea of movement training, it's the same thing. How are you going to move well? How do you move your body well? So mobility is absolutely going to make you a better performer. Now, when I was younger, we just did not do this stuff. It was just merciless. No stretching, bad diet, no mobility. And when we were sore or whatever, we just were sore. I mean, that was it. And looking back, I wish we knew more of that stuff. We just didn't know it at the time. Maybe people knew it. I didn't know it. My buddies didn't know it. We just did what we did. We just worked out hard and just dealt with the pain. And when we were sore or had an injury, we just sucked it up and just drove through it. And I'm sure that's not good. So I think there should definitely be a focus on this kind of stuff. And I think one of the things I need more focus on that because I don't do enough mobility work. I don't do enough stretching. Never mind, mobility is like a moderate stretching, right? And that's actually, Eddie Bravo, who's a jiu-jitsu, if you don't know who that is, a jiu-jitsu black belt, really a creative game. But he won't give somebody their black belt unless they can do the lotus sit, which is crazy. I mean, I can't come close to doing a lotus sit, which is when you put your feet on top of your thighs. And I've heard him talk a couple times about, guys that were completely inflexible, big football players. And then he's like, hey, you can't get your black belt until you can do the lotus. And these dudes just put their mind to it and can do it. So just like anything else, you need to set some goals. I don't think I'm quite willing to step out onto I'm going to do a lotus. But who knows? Maybe that's something I need to set in the sand and make it happen. And I think, people can go too far with that stuff. And I've said this before, like some of that extreme yoga where you're just tying yourself in knots and going beyond what a human's supposed to be able to do. I don't believe that's good for you. And I have a couple friends. I have one friend in particular that was a hardcore yoga guy. He was in the SEAL teams. He got out, hardcore yoga guy. And he said he believed it caused a lot of problems when he got older in his back and his spine and his neck and his joints because you develop laxity. You develop looseness. So you have a higher probability. So I think you should stretch and be capable of the full range of motion of what a normal, well-oiled human should be able to do. I think once you start putting, your arms backwards, upside down, and behind and between your legs, and then back up again, I think you're going to have issues with that. I also think I do get some mobility from the workouts that I do. I do deep squats, right? I go all the way down on squats. I do a lot of overhead squats. I do muscle ups. I do full range of motion pull-ups and dips. So I'm getting that movement, doing surfing, jiu-jitsu. I mean, you're constantly, you got to stay. You got to keep moving. That's what I think you got to do. You got to keep moving. You got to move in ways that are varied and make you move in different directions. Running, swimming, surfing, jiu-jitsu, all different kinds of working out. Just getting after it, basically. And that's another thing that I did write down here as a note is man, when I was younger, we just didn't tap that often in the jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. And, everybody asks me, everybody that hits me up on Twitter and says, first day of jiu-jitsu class tomorrow, what's your advice? My advice is tap early and tap often. Because your ego, if you let your ego control the tapping mechanism, you're going to get hurt. Yeah. And it might not be instant. Like my neck is jacked up. I've had neck surgery. That's from Dean Lister. That's from being in a guillotines and not tapping and being in arm chokes and not tapping. That's from 20 years of not tapping to that stuff. Because I can take a pretty good choke. So it's cool that you didn't tap and you got out. But after 20 years, guess what? You got some neck damage, son. And it's not.
Didn't you get originally in buds?
Definitely buds had something to do with it too. But just wear and tear. But the additional wear and tear from jiu-jitsu definitely, I think had a little something to do with it, which was all unnecessary. Mm-hmm. It was just, hey, I'm not going to tap to this choke. Right. It hurts my neck. I hear some noises in there, but I'm not tapping to it. Yeah. It's not smart.
Yeah, especially those neck ones, because there is an element of pain tolerance that can help you in neck stuff. But you get a arm bar as a new guy, and then you're rolling with another guy who's kind of new, but he might know how to do the arm bar. He might be kind of spazzing, going hard and unnecessarily because he doesn't know the control yet. And if you don't tap early, that's when you're going to get jammed up.
Tap early and tap often, people.
Or if you start tapping right when you feel the pain, that's wrong too, because a lot of times guys will put you in it, and it's kind of understood that, boom, you're locked in. You're not going anywhere, so they kind of expect to tap. You don't tap. The guy might think, oh, I'm not doing it right, or I'm not. He has more flexibility.
He has one thought and one thought only. Crank harder.
Yeah, right. Do it harder, exactly. Especially if he has it locked in, so it's like, all right, and then, boom, you're hurt.
Not good.
Raw deal.
Not good.
As far as flexibility, though, and Eddie Bravo actually said this in a way where, little kids, like little babies.
Yep.
2 years old.
Yeah, you can put their legs behind their heads, no problem.
Yeah, for the most part. But they're not going to do this weird yoke. You know how like some guys they're like double jointed or something? They won't be able to do that kind of stuff. But so put loosely, these 2-year-olds, they have full flexibility.
Right.
And you just lose it over time. As you gain muscle, you gain rigidity, as everything gets stronger and stuff. And if you don't put your body through those motions, you just kind of lose it. So let's say if you were into stretching from the beginning, and the genetics will play a part in that how stretchy you can be. But so in a way, you can get back there. You just gotta work on getting back there.
It works just like anything else.
Any workout, yeah. But yeah, pushing too far seems kind of weird because, if you let's say you can stretch your shoulder way behind your back, You don't have any really real strength there. No, but meanwhile, it's so easy to be back there, and I don't know. It seems like your joints kind of get rigid to be stronger, right?
I agree.
That's what bones are for.
Yeah, I agree.